Get the camera set up here. I think we're good. All right, so my camera is turned around. I do not have a screen on it, so I'm going to pull this up on my gym channel so I can follow along with you guys. Yeah, okay, so here we are. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about climbing wall design. I'm getting a lot of questions. I think it's awesome that you guys are going out there and building your own walls. I'm grateful that I'm able to take a small part in that for a lot of you. I've been getting a lot of questions. I'm going to try to answer some of those right here in this video. Also, if there's some more questions that you guys have, save those to the very end. I'll try to go through and do a question and answer session. And I also want to try to keep this fairly short so the playback is a little bit easier for you guys. Give you a quick introduction of who I am. I started building climbing walls when I was about 15 years old. And I took an old greenhouse that my dad had built on the side of our house and converted that to my climbing area. And it was fantastic. I had a lot of fun in there. And then ever since then, every single house that I've had or that I've lived at, including some apartments, I've had some variation of a climbing wall in it. Even though I may not be the strongest climber, I love building things for climbing. So here I am. A long time has passed, and I'm still doing the same thing. Some of the things that I've noticed and the tips that I have learned over the years, I'm trying to share with you guys so you can get out there and have a good, successful, strong build so you can climb, especially at this time when we're all kind of have to stay at home. First, I want to talk about hardware. But before I get into that, I actually want to go through and show you the climbing gym here. Hey, Joe. Cool. You're making some holds yourself, Joe. That's awesome. Wood. I think wood is the way to go. I'm working on an edited video right now where I'm doing some pours of this stuff that's behind me right here. We are selling Alumilite products at the gym because I think it's a good opportunity for people to get in and do some type of artwork themselves. So, but honestly, for home walls, I really think that wood is the way to go. You can get in there and shape all kinds of different shapes, and it's easier on your hands for training. So why not? And it's way less expensive. So let me give you a quick tour of the gym here while we wait for people to jump on. Somebody out here at Clarksville Climbing. This is something that I designed myself. It went through a lot of variations. I used some of the background that I had, the education or the experience that I had from working with Rockworks, but I didn't copy it completely, and I really should have. I thought that I had a better idea. So this is the back of our wall. It looks like this pretty much all the way around. It is a grid work of 2-inch angle iron and 2-inch square tubing. There's a lot of triangulation in it. I have one thing that I would change is how I have the angle iron directly against the wood panels. I would change that. I would do something different. So I would build a superstructure of steel, and then I would go and attach that with some runners going to the frame or the panels. That would be one big difference that I would make in building my climbing gym again. Which, you know, eventually down the road, I hope to build another one. And I know that there's some of you are doing that as well. So I would build a superstructure of steel and then make my panels, put them together almost like you put together a volume. So practice making some wooden volumes. Now let's get into it. Tools that you may need. Bare minimums. You're going to need a drill and the bits that go with it. So If you're using the industrial T-nuts, you're going to need a 1/2 inch drill bit. If you're using anything smaller than that, and you're using the SAE or the English measurement, you're going to need a 7/16 inch drill bit. Don't over drill those holes. I think that if you do over drill those holes, you're just asking for trouble later on down the road. So get the 7/16 inch drill bit, unless you're going with the industrial T-nut, and then go 1/2 inch drill bit. Order your T-nuts right away. As soon as you make that decision, yes, I am going to build a climbing wall, and this is the design that I'm going with on it, order your T-nuts. I've found that T-nuts locally in the places that I've lived are crazy expensive, but you can order them online and they're not that bad. So there's the drill, and then the screws. I recommend using a construction screw just like this, and it requires a Torx bit. I'm back. We had a technical difficulty there. Ever since the tornadoes in Nashville happened, we've had issues with our internet service. So I'm sorry that we had that little hiccup there. I think hopefully you heard me all about the tools. Really, the absolute minimum that you need is going to be a drill bit, and then the bit that's going to fit your screws. I just had somebody that I noticed talking about T-nuts. He said they're about $1 each locally from reputable stores. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, order them online. And then you mentioned that they're 40 to 50 cents from shadier places online. There's actually some really, really good places online. I have links in almost every single video that I have talking about T-nuts, where you can go and order them from Escape Climbing through their Amazon store. When you follow those links, it actually gives me a small credit for that sale. So it's kind of supporting the channel. I appreciate that. But I would highly recommend Escape Climbing, going there for the T-nuts that they offer. I haven't found a better place with a better quality T-nut than they're offering. So let's get back on here into the agenda. Hardware. I've had a lot of questions about the type of screws to use. I recommend using a construction screw. It's going to say construction screw on it. Right here, this is exactly what I use. Hopefully that focuses in. If it doesn't, I'm really sorry. I'll tell you, it's Grip Right construction screws. I get them at Home Depot. You can probably get them on Amazon as well. But the difference between a construction screw and a drywall screw is that these are a little bit softer. You can actually bend these screws. If you try to bend a regular, like a drywall screw, it's so hardened that it will actually break. This is harder than a nail, so there is still an opportunity or a chance that you're going to break that, but it's very unlikely that you will break these like you break your regular drywall screws. And I have used regular drywall screws before. In fact, in my own home wall, it's all drywall screws. In fact, they're the cheapest drywall screws you can get, and they break all the time. The other thing that I like about these screws is that they have they're self-piloting. So if you look at the very tip here, there's a little groove in there, and that helps cut the wood away as the screw is turning through the wood. So you don't have to worry about drilling a bunch of pilot holes. This does it for you. Super nice. I like that. So another thing, let's talk about bolts. Bolts with climbing walls, usually when you look at bolts for anchoring systems, they're going to be 1/2 inch. In the build plans, I have designated using 3/8 bolts. You can bump up to a 1/2 inch bolt if you would like to. Here are the numbers on the strengths of 3/8 inch bolts from engineeringtoolbox.com. And after this video is live, I'll throw a link in the description so you can go there yourself. A 3/8 bolt, grade 2, has 4,250 foot-pounds of tensile strength. Grade 8 is 9,300. A 1/2 inch is 7,800. It's grade 2. And a grade 8 1/2 inch is 17,000. So there is a huge difference there. I think that if you're going with a 3/8 bolt, I've put 3/8 bolts throughout my build when I built it originally, and it worked just fine. In fact, I used grade 2. Now the wall in the build plan is a little bit bigger and a little bit heavier. So if you want to jump up to the grade 8, then I think that you should definitely do that. And in fact, if you want to jump up to 1/2 inch, go for it. I really don't think that that's necessary, but you can do it. I'll have all of the information there so you can make your own decision. The ratchet straps. The ratchet straps are another thing that's coming up. I would strongly encourage that you take a ratchet strap that has a minimum safe working load of 1,000 pounds. And you're not putting all of the stress of the climbing wall through that ratchet strap because of the way that the design is. But it does need to hold a lot of weight. This is where your safety, if these ratchet straps fail, then the wall could come down on top of you. So at least a minimum of 1,000-pound working load. And this is the type of hook that I like to find. And the reason why is it's easy to throw a bolt through here. You put your fender washer on and then a smaller, stronger washer, and then your bolt right through here. And that way this hook is never going to come off. It's there. Now, if you go with a ratchet strap that has this type of hook on it, it's going to be just fine as long as you can get your bolt through this area, because you don't want to just hook it right here. Hook it right here. That way, if something happens and goes crazy, this hook isn't going to fall off of your bolt. If you are putting this outside, inspect your ratchet straps frequently. Okay, the sun is crazy hard on these soft materials. So if it is outside, plan on replacing these ratchet straps periodically because they are going to be weakened by those UV rays. All right, moving on to the next thing on our agenda, which is the space that you're putting this in. Height restrictions has been another question that I've been asked quite a bit lately. If you're putting this climbing wall in a place where you have a lot of height restrictions, there's a couple of things that I would do. First, I would lower the kicker panel to 12 inches. If I go lower than 12 inches, it's not even worth it being there. So if that's what you want to do, don't even include a kicker panel. Just run the main frame all the way down to the ground, and then don't put a panel on the bottom 12 inches of it because you're not going to be able to get your foot down there to use any holds if you could. Another thing that you can do is instead of using 2x8s, use 2x6s. That's going to lower the thickness of the frame. What I have in the design here is only 10 feet high for the main frame. And I originally designed the 2x8s to go up to 12 feet. So you can actually extend this climbing wall up to 12 feet without making any modifications at all. If you're going to stay at 10 feet or below 10 feet, you'll be just fine using a 2x6, and it's not going to have that spongy feel. It's still going to feel nice and strong and sturdy. I actually just watched a video. Anna Davey just built Woody and made a video of it, which has been up for like 4 days, and it already has 10,000 views. Man, that's awesome. But there's a couple of things in that video that I thought was really interesting. I loved how they made the sides a truss style support. I've seen a lot of videos where guys are doing that, making that truss style system, the trusses that you would see on a rooftop for a house. You can use 2x4s for that because the way that you're triangulating it is going to make it strong enough by itself. And then with this wall in the video, it looked like they used 2x4s. And there was the guy that was there mentioned that the middle of the wall felt spongy. That is because of the 2x4s. There's another thing, like if you would put 2x6s, for the length of or the height of that wall, I would have ran 2x8s. That way it'll feel nice and strong and sturdy. And then where the edges of the plywood come together and they meet together, those were left blank. There was no support in between there. So as you get close to that edge and you're pulling on a T-nut or a hole that's attached to near that edge, it's going to flex down. And actually the plywood flexes all over the place, but you don't really realize it because it's both top and bottom. But when you get close to that edge, it's able to flex more because there's no support up here, and you're going to see it more. So to avoid that and making it a little bit stronger, connect the back sides of those areas together with either a horizontal 2x4 like I show in the build plans, or even just a scrap piece of plywood. If you're using 3/4 inch plywood, you can use 1 1/4 inch screws, and you can go from the back side down and they won't poke through the surface. Okay, that's about all that I have for that. Let's go through and see if you guys have any questions. What an auto belay. Jack asks, what auto belay do you use in your gym? I use Perfect Descent in the gym. We only have one available now because we are mainly a bouldering gym. Countersink. Yeah, so when you're putting your screws in, these typically I haven't really had to countersink these screws. They'll countersink themselves. If they don't, that means that your threads are not grabbing tight enough. So I'll pull that screw out and put it in a different spot so it does pull in easily. If you're using the really, really nice Russian birch plywood, you probably do have to countersink it because that stuff is tough. All right. What grade bolts? I use grade 2, but I think I'd probably recommend using grade 8 just because I don't want anything to fail. Yes. Let's see. Do you have written plans to follow? Jameson Reeves. Yes, I do have written plans to follow. They are at climberdad.com. You can check them out there. I am selling them. They're super cheap. I've been told a lot that I need to raise the prices of those. And because of the support that you guys are giving me through that, I'm actually able to bring in one of my employees to help work at the gym. We've got a little bit of extra wiggle room and funds coming in because of you guys. So I really appreciate that. Let's see. Oh, thanks, Jack, for answering that question. I should have read that. Let's see. Keep it up. Thank you, James. Is cabinet grade plywood okay? I use cabinet grade plywood all the time in my climbing walls. I love that stuff. The pine cabinet grade plywood that you get there at Home Depot. I've used that along the base of our climbing gym all the way around. Just down on the feet where it goes up higher, I've used a birch plywood. I wanted to get a little bit stronger, but the cabinet grade stuff I've used down on the base, and I've used that a lot in home gyms. I love that stuff. It's fun to work with. So I want to also invite you guys on to join me with something. I try to keep my personal life out of the channel a little bit, but every once in a while it's going to come up. I am a religious person. I believe in the power of prayer and the power of fasting. This Friday, so April the 10th, I will be doing a fast, and I will have a link down in the description after this is over if you guys would like to join me on that fast for strength for our medical field across the world, that we can beat this COVID-19 and come out successful. I know that we can. Faith gives a lot of strength. Faith in yourself, faith in God. Now, I believe in that. So you can join me. I'd appreciate that. If not, that's okay too. So I hope that this has helped you. Go check out my build plans at theclimberdad.com if you have not. And I will see you next time right here on Climber Dad. Thanks.